Well, there are a number of reasons why the German Council on Foreign Relations was very, very pleased when Chatham House agreed to co-host this conference and to do it here in Berlin. One is related to our history. We're celebrating our 60th anniversary next year, and Chatham House was very instrumental when our council was founded in 1955. So it's great as a sign of rejuvenating the relationship to do this together. And then, of course, fundamentally we feel that at a time when Britain's place in the European Union is sort of related to question marks, and that is something that is relevant to Berlin, obviously, even though the angle will be a different one. Our focus on the Eurozone is very firm, but there is the need to discuss wider issues of European affairs together.
The first session was a key session. It is about the Ukraine crisis. This is about how to tackle the instability of Ukraine. Ukraine was described also as a weak state on the border to a falling state, and how EU should respond to this. I think this is one point, this Ukraine crisis. And the second point is the Russia crisis we have. And Russia challenges the European order. And it is not only about destabilizing Ukraine, but it is also undermining our normatives in Europe. And we had discussed how to respond to this challenge.
Expectations and perception vis-à-vis governments and what the state should or should not do.
That we need to be discussing among Europeans more about how we see Russia, what options we think we have, and how we put them into any tactical or strategic approach to Russia. And there's still a lot of implicit accusations and complaints, and that needs to be clarified. And we're now faced with a situation where we actually should be reconsidering a policy on a rather individual basis, where we should seek to devise much more flexible instruments and much less rely on the fact that there would be a kind of a group dynamic among the Eastern Partnership countries where one would actually pull the other. The geopolitical situation just seems to be too difficult to make this approach a success. So I think we need to be more flexible, more pragmatic, and more situation-minded.
I've also seen people being quite wary of developments in Ukraine, in the sense that people are afraid of bloodshed and they would not like to see a scenario similar to the one happening on the Maidan Square in Ukraine. What it could tell us about other Eastern Partnership countries, how the Ukraine crisis might be reflecting on developments in those countries, particularly in those countries like Armenia or Azerbaijan, which are either more authoritarian or more sort of Russia-leaning.
I mean, for me as a German of a younger generation, it's always really important to see and acknowledge that in particular our eastern neighbors have a completely different perception of the Russian aggression. And it's very important just to acknowledge that Poland is a country, an EU country, for us a very important partner in the EU, but it's also a country that is neighboring Ukraine, and that is having a history which means that a Russian threat is still very, very strong in the minds of people, even of my generation. That's a very strong reminder. For me, it's very often in these sessions that you see that people that come from slightly different backgrounds, like for instance, I'm a European Union analyst mostly, and look at neighbourhood policy through the lens of the EU's institutions. When you engage with people that are more looking at regional perspectives, how you can really make that a fruitful conversation, because the issues that you're looking at are more or less the same, but the way you approach it are different. So that's been really good.